Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're stepping into some pretty dark territory. We're looking at how relationships can twist into something really unsettling. Obsession. We've collected some true stories, chilling accounts, really, that show these disturbing patterns of control. And the impact, the deep impact they have. We're not just looking at what happened, but sort of how things got to that point. The escalation, what ties these terrifying stories together. So yeah, prepare yourselves. These might make you think twice with people you know.
Yeah, and what's really disturbing, as we'll see, is how these very personal stories often follow the similar path, you know? From little warning signs right up to complete invasion. It really makes you ask, what happens when someone you trusted becomes the person you're most afraid of?
Okay, let's get into this first story. It's from a young guy looking back at his senior year in high school. He met this girl, Grace, through work. And he sees now, looking back, that whole setup was just... not good. Even early on, there were these little things, red flags, he'd call them, like Grace spending hours at their job, just watching him, staring. But no, you ignore that stuff sometimes. So a few months in, things got really toxic. He felt completely suffocated, like he had no life of his own anymore. Grace needed to know everything, where he was, what he was doing, every single moment. Missed a call, boom. Dozens more calls, a flood of angry, accusatory texts. Even just going to the bathroom could start a fight. Trying to play video games with friends, forget it. Another battle.
That's just a textbook escalation, isn't it? What starts as maybe flattering attention, her being there, the constant contact, it flips. It becomes this demand for total monitoring. And importantly, isolating him from his friends, his support system. People often mistake that intensity for like deep love at first, not control.
Right. So eventually he hit his limit. He broke up with her. But Grace just wasn't having it. She wouldn't let go, waiting outside work, following him, sometimes even blocking his car with hers, just trying constantly to force him back. One night, he's just worn down, exhausted by it all. He agreed to sit in her car and talk. Part of it was she was threatening this like petty lawsuit against him, just a scare tactic, clearly. So he gets in the car, same old stuff, pleading, begging. He tries to leave, reaches for the door handle, and it's locked. He's fumbling for the unlock button. Suddenly, she just grabs his arm, digs her nails right into his skin. He was stunned. He'd only ever faced the yelling, the verbal stuff before. Never physical. He said the look on her face, just pure malice. Now, he's a tall guy. She was small, but it's still terrifying, you know? Locked in a car, he's struggling to get free, pulling his arm so hard his skin actually started to peel. Ugh. In this desperate moment, he kind of lunged, pulled her towards him onto the passenger seat, just enough space to get out, scrambled into his own car and just floored it home.
Wow, and that jump from the psychological games to actual physical aggression, that's a huge, dangerous escalation. That's the moment the threat becomes incredibly real, undeniably tangible for the victim. And using that legal threat, even a flimsy one, it just shows that calculated need to keep control, keep contact, exploit any weakness.
Yeah, he really wished that was the end. But she lived just a couple of blocks away. So later that same night, he's trying to unwind playing video games. Here's a car outside, Denver. Tap, tap, tap on his window. A girl's voice calls his name. It's her, Grace. He just froze, pretended he didn't hear. He knew she could be dangerous now. Then she starts banging on the window. Her voice is all over the place. Soft apologies 1 second, then furious rage. You can't do this to me. You're an a-hole. Stuff like that. He made a mistake then. He admits it. He opened his door just a tiny bit to ask what she wanted. Instantly, her voice changes again, back to soft, innocent. I just want my sweater back. He yelled back, it's 2 a.m. You can't be here for a sweater. Threatened to call the cops. And the mention of police. She just lost it. Screaming, sobbing, completely out of control. But here's where it gets really, really scary. His heart just dropped. He saw movement. To her left, behind this thick tree in his front yard, a figure, hooded, peeking out. Grace saw him look. She knew he'd seen them. And bam! She lunges, grabs his arm again. At the same time, the hooded figure starts sprinting towards his window. Fight or flight just kicked in, hard. He slams the window down on her arm, locks it, just as the other person gets there. Heart pounding like crazy, he holds up his phone, shows them he's dialing 911. They didn't stick around. Scrambled back to her car and sped off.
Gosh, that introduces a whole new level of threat, doesn't it? It's not just one person anymore. Now there's someone else involved. The potential danger just skyrockets. That kind of coordinated intimidation, it suggests planning. It suggests the threat is expanding, really frightening.
Yeah. An officer came, took the report, but, without solid proof, witnesses, real physical evidence beyond the arm marks, maybe? Not much they could do right then. As far as he knows, nothing legal ever happened to Grace. He thinks they were probably going to jump him, maybe rob him. He'd heard she'd done similar things before. He just counts himself incredibly lucky that the other person peeked out when they did. Gave him that split-second warning. Okay, let's shift to our next story. This one's from Amy. She'd broken up with her boyfriend, Tommy, about 3 weeks before this all went down. They dated for just under a year. And at first, he seemed perfect. Sweet, super attentive, always texting. You know, the kind of relationship start that feels amazing. But over time, that attention turned possessive. Really possessive. He'd get upset if she didn't text back right away. Start asking really weird, probing questions. Who'd she smile at? Did guys look at her? Then he started showing up unannounced at her job, just standing outside watching her. Or he'd appear at bars when she was out with her friends, basically pressure her into leaving and coming home. Her friends started to really dislike him.
And that's such an insidious slide, isn't it? From what looks like caring into straight up control and surveillance. The just checking in becomes constant monitoring. And often this kind of behavior escalates because the abuser is testing boundaries, seeing what they can get away with. Each time they cross a line and there's no major consequence, it emboldens them.
It's exactly the absolute final straw for Amy. Tommy asked her, totally seriously, if she'd put a tracker app on her phone. For safety, he said. That was it. Amy ended it right there. He cried at first, then just total silence, radio silence, which left her feeling really uneasy, like this tightness in her chest, just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Things were quiet for a bit. She blocked his number, tried to just move on. But then, maybe a week later, these weird texts started coming in. Random numbers, unknown numbers, short messages kind of vague, sometimes just one word. She blocked every single one. Tried to tell herself it was just spam or something, but then it went beyond texts. One night she hears this soft noise downstairs, tries to convince herself, oh, it's just the radiator, even though she knew it wasn't a sound her apartment usually made. Another night, 2 a.m., she swears she hears a door open, outside her bedroom door. Her heart's racing. She texts her family group chat, just needing to reach out, even though she knew they'd be asleep.
And you can just feel the psychological toll there, starting to doubt your own senses, constantly on edge, feeling unsafe in your own home, which should be your sanctuary. That's self-doubt. It's often a result of gaslighting, where the abuser makes the victim question their reality, their sanity. It isolates them even more.
Yeah. So that weekend, she comes back from visiting her sister, walks into her apartment, and immediately feels something's wrong, off. Nothing's obviously missing or broken. But, like, doors are open at weird angles. She had this habit, always keeping doors mostly closed. And there was no draft. Then her stomach just drops. Her hallway closet door, the one she always keeps shut tight, it's slightly open. Ajar. That night, she's totally freaked out. Pushes a chair under her bedroom doorknob, sleeps with a knife under her pillow, leaves the bedside lamp on. She must have drifted off eventually because she wakes up to the soft shuffling sound. The lamp's off. The room is pitch black. She looks towards her door. It's wide open. The chair's been moved. And then she sees it at the foot of her bed in the darkness. Just a black shape, a mass. As her eyes adjust, she realizes it's the top of someone's head. Oh, God. It's too late. 2 hands start caressing her feet. She just screams until she has no air left, and instantly recognizes Tommy's voice telling her to calm down, calm down. He climbs onto the bed, onto her, puts his hand over her mouth, keeps saying he's not there to hurt her. He just wants to talk. Says he won't let her go until she promises to be quiet. She's terrified. She nods.
That is just an absolute terrifying violation of her space, her safety, everything, and the way he got in, making a copy of her key beforehand. Without her knowledge. That level of premeditation is chilling. It shows such a calculative disregard for her autonomy. It's purely about reasserting control through fear.
Unbelievable. She managed to ask him, how did you get in? And he just calmly says he made a copy of her key when they were dating. Just in case, he said, there was ever an emergency. Amy thought, pure psychopath. Realized he must have snuck out with her keys one night, gone and done it, then snuck back. She thought about the knife under her pillow, but she was just too paralyzed with fear to reach for it. He kept saying, I'm not here to hurt you. But it was obvious what he was doing, scaring her back into the relationship. She was so terrified, she just agreed. Whatever he wanted, he stayed there, in her bed. For maybe half an hour, felt like forever, before he finally got up and left. The second he was gone, she grabbed her phone, called the police, made sure to say she was scared he was still nearby so they'd come fast. She filed a full report. That report was crucial later for getting a restraining order. A detective actually managed to trace those random numbers, the texts, back to Tommy's phone. He'd used one of those fake number apps. Amy went to stay with her parents immediately until she could find a completely new place. Her advice now, first sign of that kind of obsessive, controlling behavior: get out, get away as fast as you can. She says she still lives with the trauma, waking up and seeing him there, and an awful thought of almost having to use that knife. Okay, our last story for today. This comes from someone who dated a woman named Marissa for about 1.5 years. He said initially he was just incredibly passionate, really charismatic, captivating. The first few months sounded amazing. Surprise gifts, little sticky notes with poems, always a good night text. But that intensity had a dark side, a really unhealthy one. Marissa apparently couldn't just be calm. Everything was extreme, either perfect or a total disaster. Like if he took 5 minutes too long to text back, it would trigger this wave of messages. First, worried, then angry, then suddenly really apologetic. She accused him of cheating just because he liked an old high school friend's picture on Instagram. Yeah. And if he ever tried to say, hey, this makes me uncomfortable, she'd just shut down completely. Sit and stare at a wall for hours until he basically took it back and said everything was fine.
Yeah, that's not passion. That's emotional manipulation, plain and simple. And that desperate need for control, for constant reassurance, punishing him for setting any kind of boundary or for any perceived slight, no matter how small, it reveals this deep insecurity, but also a dangerous possessiveness that just gets worse when it's challenged.
Right. So 6 months in, she just shows up at his office, unannounced, with coffee, acting like it's some cute rom-com moment. He kind of laughed it off the first time. But the second time, she's parked outside his work, crying because he hadn't answered her call right away. When he finally told her, look, this isn't okay, she just smiled and said, you do the same for me, right? Mm-hmm. He didn't know what to say. He found himself making excuses for her. Oh, she has trauma, abandonment issues, bad childhood. He honestly thought if he could just prove he wasn't going anywhere, she'd relax. She'd calm down. Nope. The more he gave, the more she demanded. Eventually, he just couldn't take it anymore. He reached his breaking point, told her it was over. Her reaction, super chilling, no yelling, no crying. She just stared at him in total silence for what felt like minutes. Then she just nodded slowly and said, you think it's over for you, but it's not over for me. He said those words set this absolute cold shiver down his spine. It wasn't like a loud threat, more like this quiet, terrifying statement of fact.
Wow, that line delivered so calmly. It highlights this profound disconnect from reality, doesn't it? This absolute refusal to accept the relationship is over. It's not a plea. It's like she's asserting continued ownership. Yeah. Saying he doesn't get a say in whether it's over or not. That's a hallmark of really dangerous, obsessive thinking.
Yeah. So he did everything he could. Blocked her everywhere. Changed his number. Even tried to switch apartment units in his building. And for a few weeks, silence. He thought maybe, just maybe, it worked. Then the letter started. No stamps, no return address, just his name, handwritten, tucked into his doorframe. The first one was almost nostalgic. I miss waking up to you. Creepy stuff about sleeping on his side of the bed. The second one got weirder. You always check the door 3 times before you go to bed. You probably didn't even notice it, but I do. Observing his habits. The third letter. That's when he packed a bag. It said, you wore your blue hoodie Monday, the one with the hole in the sleeve. You should sew that up before it gets worse. He had worn that hoodie to run to the grocery store across town. It was pouring rain. He didn't see anyone he knew. She had seen him. He knew right then that just moving across town wasn't going to cut it. He found a job in Denver, moved states, told absolutely no one except immediate family and his brother, no forwarding address, new email, got a P.O. box under a fake name, went completely dark online. And for months it seemed okay. He actually slept well. Started dating again, felt like a normal person. Until one Saturday. He goes to his P.O. box, another envelope, just his name, inside, a Polaroid picture of him. Walking near his apartment building in Denver, taken from behind him. You could see snow on the ground, mountains in the background. It was recent. On the back, written in red ink. Your shoulders slouch when you're tired.
That level of surveillance, finding him across states, getting that photo, knowing the detail. It's almost professional stalking at that point. It shows this incredible obsessive investment of time and probably resources. It's not random checking. It's meticulous, planned invasion designed purely to terrorize him.
Unbelievable. He didn't even hesitate. Moved again, even faster this time. Paid cash for a rental in a totally different part of Denver. Switched to a fully remote job. Got a big dog, a German Shepherd mix, for company, but also, security. Deleted pretty much his entire online presence. Went totally gray, as they say, for almost a full year. No letters, no pictures. He started to let himself think. Maybe, finally, she was gone. Until the post-it note. Comes home one evening from walking the dog. Yellow sticky note. Red ink. Stuck right on his front door. It said, I don't like the beard. His stomach just plummeted. He'd grown a beard maybe 3 months before that. Pretty much only the dog and his work webcam, which he kept covered unless he was actually on a call, had seen it. He shaved it off that night. Freaked out. Next morning, another note. Under his car's windshield wiper. Better.
The sheer audacity, and again, the personal detail, knowing about the beard, commenting on it, it's just this relentless, terrifying persistence. It's sending a clear message. I am always watching. Nothing you do is private. You can't hide. Even without a direct physical threat in that moment, that constant intrusion is profoundly traumatizing.
He went to the police again. But same story. No direct threats, no property damage they can prove she did. Not enough evidence. They couldn't do much. He couldn't prove she'd been anywhere near him. Just the notes. He changed everything again. Locks, routines, drew the blinds constantly. Barely slept. 2 weeks went by. Nothing. He started to wonder. Maybe the notes were old. Maybe he was just being paranoid. Then one night, he wakes up. Middle of the night. Just this horrible gut feeling like somebody had just been in his room watching him sleep, and it only just last. He checked everywhere. Nothing seemed out of place. But the next morning, taped perfectly flat against his front door. A small envelope. Inside was a photo he hadn't seen in years. It was him and Marissa, back when they dated, in one of those boardwalk photo booths, both smiling. But her eyes in the photo had been scratched out, like dug into with a needle or a pin, deep gouges. That was it. He moved again, not just across town, completely out of the city. Found a tiny cabin like 3 hours deep into the mountains, super isolated. One road in and out, paid cash again, fake name on the lease. Ditched his smartphone, got a burner. Only used a secure work laptop. Only his parents and his best friend even knew the general area he was in. For a whole month, he barely even went into the nearest small town. He thought, okay, this has to work. Till one night, he hears footsteps outside, crunching in the snow. His dog goes absolutely ballistic, barking, growling like crazy at the door. The next morning, he goes out. Clear shoe prints in the snow, going from window to window, all around the cabin. No note this time, nothing left behind, just the tracks. What else could he think? She'd found him. Again. He says he still doesn't know 100% for sure it was her, but he didn't wait to find out. Spent the entire day packing and drove straight back to his hometown. Ditched the cabin. Today. He lives in a house with 3 roommates, all military guys. Their big pickup trucks, Purple Heart license plates, giant flags. It's a pretty clear deterrent. He knows Marissa is deeply unstable, a stalker, dangerous to herself and anyone unlucky enough to get involved with her. He just wishes the law could step in more effectively before something truly awful happens to the next person she targets. Wow. These stories, they're just a stark reminder, aren't they? Of the dangers that can hide within relationships and the deep, lasting scars they leave. We really saw that pattern repeated. The intense beginning, the love bombing, turning into control, pushing boundaries, then the escalation, psychological turning physical or into this relentless, terrifying surveillance. And that struggle victims face, where the legal system sometimes can't seem to intervene effectively in those early critical stages, leaves them feeling so alone.
Exactly. And it really highlights how vital it is to recognize those early signs, to understand that healthy connection is about respect and freedom, not control and fear. And in today's world, with information so easy to find, it really poses that urgent question. How do we truly protect ourselves? How do we stay safe when someone is that determined to shatter our sense of security, even when we take extreme measures?
It is a chilling thought to end on, but definitely one that needs our attention. Thank you for joining us for this unsettling deep dive today. If these stories made you think, or maybe gave you pause, please stay curious. Keep asking questions. We hope you'll keep exploring with us here on The Deep Dive. And hey, if you found this valuable, please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Horror Doc. It really helps us out. Until next time, stay safe out there and keep thinking.